Hi, I'm Chris Sarandon, and welcome to Cooking by Heart, where we revisit the vivid memories of the food we grew up with.
I couldn't believe the tastes and the flavors.
Lydia Bastianich. Hi, Chris. Susan Sarandon.
And, of course, the people and the stories attached to that time in our lives.
I was the one, sort of like mommy dearest.
He'd order one side of the menu and eat that. And then when he was finished eating that, he'd order the other side of the menu and eat all of that. He emptied the kitchen.
My guest today is actress, producer, creator, and activist, Rosanna Arquette. Rosanna's many acting credits include iconic roles in Desperately Seeking Susan, for which she was nominated for a Golden Globe and won a BAFTA award. Martin Scorsese's After Hours, with a BAFTA nomination. David Cronenberg's Crash, Luc Besson's The Big Blue, and Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. She was also featured in Lawrence Kasdan's Silverado and is currently appearing in Here's Yanni. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Rosanna has directed 2 documentaries, Searching for Deborah Winger, which premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, and All We Are Saying, which premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. On television, she executive produced the Showtime series Coercion and is currently in a featured arc on David Kelly's Big Sky. She has been nominated for an Emmy for Norman Mailer's Executioner Song and has been featured on the acclaimed series Florida Man, Roadies, HBO's Girls, and Showtime's The L Word, and Ray Donovan. I could go on about the longevity and quality of her career, but better to introduce the person behind the resume, Rosanna Arquette. Hi, Rosanna. Welcome to Cooking by Heart.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Rosanna and I were just talking about living in homes and the difficulties of moving into them. We'll get to that maybe in a little while, but at any rate, I want to start with provenance.
I've got a good kitchen.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear it. We'll talk about that too. But I want to start with provenance, where you were born, which has so much to do with not only the food we grew up with, but just our lives in general. Where was that?
I was born in New York.
Yeah, New York City?
New York City, Mount Sinai Hospital, lived in, the West Village, and then moved to Chicago.
This is when you were a kid?
This is still a kid, so
Yeah.
like 5 to 8 in Chicago. I was in Los Angeles then till 8 to 11, then moved to a commune in Virginia.
Whoa.
With my family, like an artist commune in Virginia, till 14. Then I went to New Jersey and lived with the family because I couldn't stand the racism in Virginia, and neither could my parents. And so they moved back to Los Angeles. They moved back to Chicago, and then back to Los Angeles. And I went up to San Francisco for a while and Big Sur. And then I lived in France and London.
So we have a very peripatetic existence all through your youth and your younger years as well?
And my younger years as well.
All right, but let's go back. Let me take you back. The first years in New York City and Chicago. So you're a young girl. How many siblings? 3 siblings?
I'm the eldest of 5.
Eldest of 5. Okay.
Alexis Arquette passed.
Right.
It'll be 8 years on September 11th.
Right. How many girls? How many boys?
So, well,
At the time,
there were 2 girls, and then Alexis, was transitioning.
Transitioning, right. 2 girls and 4 boys?
2 girls and 3 boys.
3 boys. Okay. All right.
Now 3 girls and 2.
All right. Well, at any rate. Now, tell me a little bit about mom and dad.
Artists, musicians. My father, a musician and actor, musician. My mother was an actress, acting teacher, and then became a therapist.
Right.
Poet. She was a poet.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about the food situation at home when you were young. What do you remember?
My mother didn't cook.
Your mother didn't cook?
She was the worst. She was the person that took the frozen hamburger, put it on the frying pan and with a fork and, till it melted.
Right.
That was how we, and then throw in like tomato sauce and call it a day. It was never, so my sister too, we cook. And I think I self-taught.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just make stuff up and it tastes good. I don't, I just have always had the knack for it. And not to say it's like I'm not a chef, but I like make yummy food. Like my daughter wants to, for sure. She loves, I call it gratitude date for Thanksgiving. She's actually in France right now. She wants to come with friends, for sure, for my Thanksgiving. So,
right.
Which I like to do.
Now, when you were a kid, Mom was sort of throwing things in the skillet or in a pot. Was Dad involved in any of this?
No, we grew up with a lot of Burger King, McDonald's, TV dinners, and shit food. We really did.
Right. High quality shit food.
Yeah, high quality. Well, yeah.
Right.
Sorry, high quality shit. Yeah. Just not. Now we know so much about it, but
yeah, exactly. So your culinary experiences when you were growing up were limited. I mean, this is not unusual, by the way, because I talk to a lot of people. I mean, do you know Michael Patrick King, writer, Sex and the City? Anyway,
I'm a fan, but no.
Yeah, but Michael talks about the fact that his mother was a horrible cook and that the only time there was any flavor in the food was when his mother cried in the mashed potatoes.
That's very funny.
Yeah, he's a funny guy, right? What was the atmosphere like around the dinner table when you guys were together? Were you eating together?
Sometimes, yes. I mean, yeah, but then it was, but it could be like in Los Angeles, it would, you'd come and there would be some people that my mom met that were homeless on, at the table, and she'd feed them somehow. And, and it would be, there was always, we lived in the commune. That was like a communal thing. So there was like this big place where everybody did eat together. But I also left home really young. I left home at 14. And so I didn't have a lot of the rest of what the other kids did, because they had more of an experience where I think my mother went,
Yeah. Oh, it's just dinner time?
Yeah, exactly.
What was the food like at the commune?
Oh, better. Like a lot of, lentils, more veggies.
Right.
That kind of food, definitely much better.
This was what, 60s, 70s?
So it's got to be if I was 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 70s.
This is such a similar story. You'll get a chance, hopefully, to meet Ileana Douglas at some point.
I know Ileana Douglas.
Do you know her story about her father becoming a hippie and suddenly they had a commune in their home?
I actually never knew that about her.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll have this conversation. Oh, there's that cat. Or is
There
this
he
a
is.
different cat?
No, this is the only one and only. It's
Ah.
my Save My Life cat, and I had such an anxiety attack thinking that he was gone on the roof.
What a beauty.
He's really amazing.
Yeah. Let's jump to then when you're 14. What prompted you to move out?
What prompted me to move out was the fact that I went to school in Front Royal, Virginia, where we had to go to school, which is
public school.
Public school, intermediate school, and it was, my first experience going to, I've told this story before, but it is the first day of school, there was a school bus picked us up.
Yeah.
At, the road of the commune, which, had to drive into town. And so I got on the bus and I went to the back of the bus, some cool kids that looked cool, and I didn't know anybody, and just started talking. And when I got out, the bus driver leaned over as I was getting out and said, "You're a little M lover, aren't you?" Because the kids were Black.
Oh, wow.
Well, that really, and so I went to my mother, and she was like, you have to remember, my mother was super, marched with Martin Luther King and had peace marches. And I met Martin Luther King when I was a kid and had stopped the war because he came to one of the peace marches in Chicago, and she had painted on I've told this story before, but Stop the War, Kill No More on my chest.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a sense of justice and just, this is not okay.
This is not right.
Immediately there was a target on my forehead already as soon as I went into school, so I continued that. Just my friends were I happen to be Black. So, and that was these kids' parents probably had hoods in their closet for sure.
Wow.
It was like definitely not a good vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So
now where are you now?
I'm now 14, and I have to say I smoked some pot with my friends in the,
Who didn't?
and wrote Black Power on my fist. And I went to and that was it.
Right.
I got expelled. Not even suspended. I got expelled. And I said, I told my mom, like, I'm not living here. I don't want to live here. She had really good friends that, lived in New Jersey. So they said, well, come and live with us. So I went to school in Maplewood, New Jersey for a while, for like a year, and did the play Pippin. And,
was that the beginning?
no, because my father was an actor. So we did a story theater. Paul Sills created story theater, was a great friend.
Yeah. I worked with a disciple of Viola Spolin who taught Paul. Yeah.
So that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
That's her son. And I grew up with them. And so we had a children's version of the story theater. We should revive this.
Yeah. Oh, it's so much fun.
I know. I love it. And so I grew up that way. And we did Arnold Weinstein's Metamorphosis. And that's really where I did it. I was 17 in LA and did the story theater technique Metamorphosis, which Viola came and Paul came and workshopped a little bit. And a casting director, Gino Haven, saw me, and I got cast in this movie with Betty Davis.
That was it.
Arc Secret of Harvest.
Wow. Which for our listeners and viewers is a similar experience that I had, in the sense that often actors spend years waiting for something to happen. We toil in workshops, we work in, whatever we can, and wait tables, et cetera, and somewhere along the line, the lucky ones and the talented ones get work, and the others, if they're not able to, move on to other things. And this is not a common experience where the first thing that you're seen in, somebody sees you, you're discovered, and off you go. It happened to me. It happened to my ex-wife, Susan. Same thing. It just happened very quickly. So I always look back on those times as being a magical, sort of blessed time in my life that sort of set me on a path.
Yeah.
How extraordinary that is, isn't it?
Yeah. We're pretty blessed, and it's a very, very, very different business. And boy, I think we were in a very special time, because the kids that are coming up now, it's a completely different experience for them, and it's really challenging. I think I have a daughter who is blessed and happens to be working, but my God, like the on tape interviews, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And also there's a different kind of paradigm operating, in the sense that when I started working, I wasn't interested in becoming a movie star. I was interested in being an actor and having a career that lasted my life. This was my calling. This was the thing that I was going to be doing for the rest of my life. So it had nothing to do with fame. Fame was a byproduct, in a sense, of my work.
Yeah, I poo-pooed it when I constantly was like, and people didn't like that, like biting the hand that feeds you, is because there's old articles, which actually I just found in the moving to the attic, this bunch of things, me saying like, I don't really like Hollywood. Like it wasn't, I didn't.
No.
And I had moved to New York. My roommate, who was like my brother, was John Hurd. I lived at his apartment as a friend, just, I was like his little sister.
Right.
So, with the Cafe Central days, do you remember the Cafe Central?
Absolutely. Cafe Central, the Cherry restaurant on the Upper West Side, the great diners down in the Broadway area, the off-Broadway scene, the public theater, all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I didn't really, but you did a lot of theater. I only did it as a kid, and
But you had a foundation.
I had a foundation, but it's amazing all these years that I haven't done a play, like a real play.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for years.
In all that time.
Yeah.
Wow,
because I was always working.
Yeah.
I was I was
Right.
always doing movies. I mean,
Yeah.
or something. And then I had a baby, and then it became like, oh, this is not easy, going off and leaving my kid to be raised by a nanny. Education is not something that was, so there were periods of like, this is not going to work. It was when she's in school and the teenage years, forget it. It was like, no, I need to be around. And so,
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing that,
Yeah. Well, actually, we'll get into that because I want to talk about that in your experience of searching for Deborah Winger, because that's, I think, in some ways related to what you're talking about that you just went through, or you went through at one point. But I want to get back to those first days, because how did you support yourself? And were you cooking for yourself at the time? Were you living in an apartment?
I always had this sense of healthy food. Like, I never wanted to eat like the way I grew up ever. And so I didn't eat that way. I always went for, the farmers markets or in Paris, like the farmers. I liked that. And I love fruits and vegetables and healthy. And I always had that. So
Well, you were lucky too to be in LA in the beginning.
Yes.
In the beginning,
Yes. Believe me, I had moving across country, and it was like, we have Erewhon, we have like amazing organic markets. I was like, where are they? Because it's not Whole Foods anymore.
Yeah.
It's become a different thing.
So how are you subsisting in these early days? You're now, when you were in LA, you're what, in your mid-teens, late teens?
So, but I immediately worked. I just was back to back.
Right.
I immediately, I did a couple things and then got a deal at NBC. I did a show with Shirley Jones called The Shirley Show. Oh my gosh, that's just ridiculous. But it was funny. In that, Fred Silverman gave me a deal, and I was making $7,000 a week.
Wow.
A lot of money for a kid.
Yeah, exactly. And living on your own?
Living on my own, and had a cool apartment on Laurel Avenue, which was all the comedians. Like, everybody lived in that apartment building. So,
who lived there?
I met so many fun people. But Sam Kinison was a friend. Remember Sam Kinison?
Yeah, sure.
Even Kevin. God, there were so many. I can't.
Kevin
remember.
James.
Nealon.
Kevin Nealon. Yeah.
He saw me at that apartment building. I don't know if he lived there, but there was like, because I was like this young little girl, there was all these guys at the pool, and they were kind of watched out for me. Lorraine Newman's brother-in-law lived downstairs.
Were there gatherings? Did you guys get together?
They had a lot of, I kind of kept to myself. I was always, but I knew them, and everybody was nice.
Was there any kind of a communal food thing going on?
Never the communal food thing, but I always for instance, I did 2 girlfriends of mine, really close girlfriends, came on Saturday, and, I just found out like Saturday morning. And so I went over to my new favorite, market, which is about 40 minutes away, and got a whole feast, like, I do love putting out a spread.
Right.
People sitting around, and I'm very into that. And my girlfriend wrote, she goes, on the text, she goes, we don't have to bring anything, because knowing Rosanna, food is her love language.
Well, that's what this show is about, essentially.
And so I feed people. I like to do that.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that love when you were with your family, when it had to do with food, or it was never that way?
It never felt, it does later in years, it did. But not when we were kids. Never for me when it was kids. I think it might have been different for the other kids, because they had quite a different experience than me. I think all the first out, the parents' dysfunction kind of, I got most of that, and then my mom died healthier and healthier, and so did my dad, and sober. He got all those kinds of things they got to experience. I had the chaos and the trauma, and left very early for it. So there's a lot of wounds, but then food heals. So like I know Patricia's become this amazing cook. I would cook for everybody, and then she's always sending me recipes. We send each other like easy, breezy,
great.
read recipe book.
My kids do that. Yeah.
I make my own thing and hope for the best. And usually, I would say 90% turns out. I thought I made this amazing seafood pasta thing.
Yes.
And it wasn't great.
It's hard to do, especially. Did you do it at your friend's place?
No, I did it at my house and brought it
You
over.
did it. But it doesn't carry well. Seafood.
Didn't carry well.
No.
It did not do it. And
No.
so that's what happened.
It has to be
wasn't
on the
good.
spot. Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
So are you a chef?
I'm a cook, a home cook. I've cooked. I grew up in a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My dad owned a little restaurant, not a little restaurant, but a decent sized restaurant in a coal mining town in West Virginia. He was in.
So you were in West Virginia.
Yeah. My dad's a Greek immigrant. My mom, family Greek immigrants as well. And so I worked in the restaurant from the time I was 10 until I went away to college. So I was surrounded by food all the time, be it at the restaurant or at home with, whatever Greek families were around were all my relatives because there were no other Greeks in this coal mining town. So we would always get together and my mother and my aunts would roll out phyllo dough and make spanakopita and, the stuff that Greeks do.
Hummus?
Hmm?
The hummus?
Well, hummus is much more Middle Eastern.
The fava bean one?
Yes.
Oh,
And also
I
the
love that.
tara masalata, the one with carpro and bread and oil and lemon. Dip.
I love Greek food.
Yeah, it's
Love
great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
At any rate, back to you. So the traditions have grown over the years, the food traditions with the family.
Yeah. My brother David makes, if people are meat eaters, and I haven't really been eating it, but like when I did taste, he's a serious rib killer.
Oh,
Like he has a whole thing and it's a long process. And he
does a rub and a marinade and whatever.
It takes a long time. To marinate and barbecue. Oh, it's so good.
I'm very much of your mind. We don't eat a lot of meat at home, Joanna and I.
But
when we do, we like last night we had bison burgers.
Oh, wow.
Which are a wonderful alternative to just regular ground beef.
Gamey?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Tastes like a luscious burger. We were smacking our lips. At any rate, have there been any times when are your parents still with us?
No, they both left really young. That's
Oh, really?
Outlived age-wise, like that, both of them. Yeah, they died. My mother of cancer and probably from shitty food.
Right.
And my father, he died of complications of livers.
Yeah. Was there any time before they left you that you guys were able to get together as a family around food?
Yeah. No, we did. Like we did holidays. Everybody. I started working and then and then I was like gone for a year. I'd come home, and I think there was a certain amount of I just found all these journals and my mom had said to me that I wrote in it that my brother David was very sad because, he doesn't see me very much because I was really young. And it was like true. I was on location all the time.
Yeah.
So it was later in years that we, everybody kind of bonded around also the deaths of my parents.
Yes, of course. Holidays? Were there holidays together?
Yeah, like as much as we can. I mean, I remember I lived in England for a long time, and so I didn't come home for the holidays a lot, but now we really try to figure it out. Like my brother David is living in Nashville, and we're all spread out now.
Right.
Which is sad. My brother Richmond moved way up northern, Washington, and
you should pick a central spot, like maybe Nashville.
Like I said, please everybody come. We're trying to figure out let's go one holiday. Like maybe we'll go to Christmas to David's. I don't know.
Yeah. And well, that would be relatively central to the east, to the west.
Yeah.
Whatever. But it's important. I know I have no siblings. I have one brother who passed away. And I know I miss it terribly, but I have kids and I have grandchildren.
How old are your grandkids?
They range in age from 13 to 4.
Oh.
There are 9 of them. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot.
So we get together and the get-togethers are chaotic but wonderful. And they're always around
Stay
food.
with you?
Yeah. Well, they all live within an hour and 40 minutes or so radius of where we live. So it's fairly easy. And we do a big communal Thanksgiving. We do Greek Easter. We do summertime things as well. And when everybody's together, as I say, it's chaotic, but it's always around food.
Does everybody, I love potluck. See, that's always been my favorite thing, is like everybody brings a dish. I mean, I usually supply everything, but I like the vibe of potluck.
Yeah. If you were to have a potluck today, what would you bring?
Oh,
that is, if someone were to call you and say, "Oh, we're going to have a potluck, bring something," what would you bring?
well, I would probably do a huge salad, like a huge salad, but it's like got everything. It's a great salad, you know.
What's your everything salad?
I love romaine and butter lettuce together, and then I do the red cabbage.
Yep.
In it.
Yep.
Onions.
Yep.
I do avocado. A lot of avocado. It's almost like in the avocado itself can become,
gives it a consistency
thing instead of the dressing, but it becomes that in a way.
Yep.
And then the dressing is always, I do really great olive oil, garlic, Dijon, and balsamic, and put it in a blender, and dill. I put dill in the salad too.
Yeah.
It's yummy.
This sounds like my kind of salad, Rosanna.
It's filling. It could be a meal on its own. If that was probably what I do, like that. But if they already had salads and they asked me to do something,
what would be the main course?
What I have to do, like if some people, I would probably do a big lentil soup vibe. You know, or something like lentils.
Yeah, which it feels very meal-like. If depending on the way you make it, I'll trade a recipe with you sometime.
Well, I mean, I don't have a recipe. What I do is I love those French lentils. French lentils, and then because they cook fast, but I'll do a broth in it. I cook it in broth instead of the water.
Yep.
And then chop garlic and, just kind of season it. I don't do tons of salt, but it does need salt. So, the sea salt, and it's usually yummy. I don't know, because I don't have any, I never follow recipes. I'm not a great baker. That's right.
It's interesting because I do have these conversations. For instance, my friends Mike Tucker and Jill Eikenberry.
I know. I years ago. I haven't seen them in years.
You will see.
Really close with Diane Wiest, right? Like, are they still friends with you?
You will see them. You will see them.
Oh wow.
At any rate, Mike is a great cook, but he's a recipe cook. Jill is a find it and create it cook.
That's me.
I've talked to any number of people. I just spoke with Bonnie Hammer, who's a friend of ours, but who's an NBC vice chairman, NBC Universal vice chairman. And Bonnie is a recipe cook, and her husband is a what's in the refrigerator, I'll put it together. And so that's wonderfully complimentary in a lot of ways.
Like I have a beautiful salmon that I need to make today, and it's and I thought, okay, I'm gonna just it's just I'm gonna marinate it in. I like white wine, olive oil. I love garlic. I'm a garlic person. Give me garlic in anything. I just love garlic.
My world is garlic. Yes.
Right, garlic,
Yep.
and then the dill, fresh dill. Let that like kind of soak up for a while, and just stick it in there.
All right.
I love the Japanese potatoes, the purple ones. I love those so much.
I grow them in my garden.
You do?
Yeah. I'll give you some.
Oh my God, I love those so much.
Yeah.
I love them.
They're
And
great
those
because
are amazing to make mashed.
yes, they're much better mashed. They don't make a great. They're okay if you roast them. Yeah, slice them, roast them in the oven, or just mash them up. Throw some olive oil in with them, some salt and pepper. To die
That's
for.
That's a whole meal for me.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to get back into your life, as it were, as we're going along, because I know you've traveled a lot. Obviously, you've talked about it as we've been conversing. On your travels and working in foreign countries, have there been food discoveries that you've made there?
Well, I think I remember this. I had some famous chef. It's terrible that I can't remember his name, but he was
That's
a
all right.
very famous chef in France. And this is many years ago. And they had a dinner for me. It was this incredible olive bread, like incredible olive bread,
Yes.
and huge bowls of caviar. But then that was caviar, and then it was just all these different kinds of truffles. It was my favorite meal I ever had.
Whoa.
The truffles with the bread and this amazing olive oil that I've never had an olive oil like this again. And that was the meal. It was so incredible. It wasn't like he cooked it. He just put it, but it was like very elegant and different kinds of, at the time, I mean, I don't really drink very much, but champagnes and wines and vodka and this truffles, which I do love. And they're hard to find. And when they're like, and I just, this one meal, just of this, I can remember this taste of this bread, the truffles and olive oil, and then separately, again, doing it with this caviar.
No, the caviar. Sounds
very,
extraordinary.
It was a very, indulgent meal, but I'm not really into like super creamy, Frenchy.
The old haute cuisine of France, right?
The teeny little like bite morsel, like it's like, oh my God, I definitely am American. Like can I have more?
Yes, right. Fill my plate, please. I'm hungry. Right. Do you recall any location food that really kind of knocked you out?
Well, I mean, I've shot in Italy.
Catering?
I love anywhere. By the way, anywhere, even like in the truck stop in Italy. I mean, it's Italy, and the food is, they love food. Yeah. And I love Italian food.
Yeah.
And I love Greek food. I was in Greece. I was in Greece for doing a film. I was there for 6 weeks doing a film years ago.
In Greece?
Yeah.
Oh.
In Eos.
Oh, I envy you.
We lived on this isolated side of the island. There was nobody but us. And
How was the food?
It was amazing, but I have to say, by the end, I hated tomatoes so much. I was a little sick with tomatoes. Yeah. But then it was funny. It's like, no, I can't eat another two.
Yeah. Well, and hence the origin of the Greek salad, because Greece is a dry, hot place.
Yeah.
Lettuce doesn't grow well there. So Greek salads basically consists of onions, tomatoes, olives, feta cheese, whatever else is grown in that, cucumbers.
Yeah.
But lettuce doesn't, same thing happens in my garden in the summer. My lettuce is gone within 2 weeks.
Cucumbers I do put in my salad that I was telling you about.
Okay. All right. Add that to your list, folks out there. All right. I want to transition a little bit to some of the things that you've done beyond acting. And that is, I want to talk about, and this is something you touched on earlier when you talked about you and your daughter and your career. You created a movie. Was this the impetus for searching for Deborah Winger? That the fact that you were torn about career and your child and didn't want to be away?
I mean, it's now about 24 years ago. I think I made. Yeah. Wow.
How old is she now?
She looks like she's 18, but she's 29.
29. Okay. Just in terms of the timeline, when you say this was 24 years ago, you made the movie, the timeline makes sense in terms of what you were going through.
Yeah.
With your child. First of all, it's interesting to me that Deborah Winger was the avenue in, because she very famously left acting to live her life.
That's why I was searching for her.
Right.
Because I wanted to know why.
Yeah.
Like searching for Deborah Winger was like, what happened to her? That's what I say at the beginning of the movie. Like, what she was the biggest, where'd she go?
Biggest movie star in the world. Sure.
Yeah.
But then what made you extend it to other actresses, other women in our business?
Oh, because I just really was interested in how everybody, and I still did one on musicians too, called All We Are Saying. It's balancing your art with your life. How can you have it all? You have 9 grandchildren. And children, how do you go off? You see the broken family, you see how it works. It doesn't.
Exactly. Yep.
You either bring everybody with you or something gets lost in the relationship, the marriage gets lost, the child gets screwed up, your career gets good. Like, can you have it all? And that's always been my, like, why can't we have it all? And I open with the red shoes, which is, where she has to make that choice between dance or her love. And why can't she have both? She can't.
Right. Now, Rosanna references a great film that some of you may be familiar with. And if you're not, you must become familiar with, because it's one of the great movies. It's one of my all-time sort of touchstones. When my wife and I first got together, Joanna and I first got together, it was the first thing we sat down and watched.
I love that.
She had never seen it, and I said, "You have to watch this movie."
And great. And so you never did that with her. You never made her choose.
No, not at all, not at all. And one of the great filmmakers of all time as well.
Yeah.
Somebody
Michael Powell.
Yeah, Michael Powell.
I got to meet him.
And Emmerich Pressburger as well.
Pressburger Powell. But Michael I got to meet because he was married to Thelma Schoonmaker,
right.
who was and I worked with Marty a few times. And so I got to spend time with him, too.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
He wrote 2 great books, by the way.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with them? Oh, okay. Just in case you
I have a whole library here of my books, and I have a beautiful poster.
One of the great movies of all time, folks. You must watch it. And also one of my favorite actors of all time, Antoine Walbrook.
Oh, isn't he incredible?
Oh my God!
Some housewife, you want to be a housewife, yeah.
I have a question for you in regards to Searching for Deborah Winger. Has anything changed since you made the movie for women for actresses particularly?
I think we're seeing change in the last few years. We're definitely seeing diversity in a way, and we're still fighting for the fact that women are still not equally paid at all. But there are more opportunities for women directors finally, because they're finally waking up to the fact that these stories need to be told, and and women are starving for them.
Yes,
and
women can only tell them in their own way.
That's right.
Yeah, my wife just directed a movie that's just
she did?
coming out. Soon. You'll
that's so exciting.
You'll hear about that at some point.
Yay! Well, we have to support our women directors
and writers,
and also like independent filmmaking is just the more interesting way to go. I was always more, like I did have those huge opportunities and kind of didn't do them, and looking back, like, oh God, that would have been. But I always liked the more interesting movies, and I do have worked with some incredible directors because I chose to do the movie that wasn't the payday. Now, of course, like, it would be great to do a great television.
Right, exactly. One other question. Oh, and by the way, as you mentioned, All We Are Saying, which is a movie that you made, a documentary you made about similar questions that you were posing to musicians about career versus real life and how do you balance them. As I'm driving, I literally got in my car this morning to drive to the studio. I turn on the radio and All We Are Saying is on the radio.
Oh, that's so great.
The first song that came up.
That's so neat.
John Lennon singing it.
Of course. And
rapping, by the way. You are also, and I'm not going to get into the details. It really is more a question of this question I just asked you about women in film. Yeah. And that is, you are attached for obvious reasons to the Me Too movement because of your experience having gone through the Harvey Weinstein thing. Now, I'm not going to get into that.
Today is his court date, which is...
Yeah, I know. But here's the question that I'm going to follow that up with, which is, has anything changed there? Do you feel that has changed seismically?
In some way, yes, but also it also, there, as in any kind of movement, can be some bad actors. So there would, men are pissed off. I mean, look what we're seeing. Like we're seeing patriarchy just like hated it so much, and especially in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So there are a lot of people that just are very angry about it, and not angry in that it happened. And and also the reflection that the possibility is that this is a business that has been done that way for many, many, many years. That's right.
It's not just Harvey Weinstein.
No, it's not. No, but the way he did it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, egregious. Yeah.
Like, egregious, and women were really harmed. And I'm lucky that I just went as far as it went, and in terms of like me saying that's never gonna, I'll never be that girl.
Enough.
My life it drastically changed in minutes. It was so crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it was like she's difficult. She's this, like, ask Martin Scorsese, like ask John Sayles. That's like the directors I've worked with, like Cronenberg. Like they're not going to say that.
Yeah,
that was his way of punishing people. And when he was the king. And the thing is that's sad about it, and is really sad, is that because he had great taste.
Oh yeah, are you kidding?
He had excellent taste.
He
made great films.
Yeah, the great Miramax movies.
Ended his tragedy, and it is a drag that he's in prison and this stuff. But like, and the thing is that they may turn the New York thing because a lot of money is behind, and people are definitely behind him to stop that. But he still has the LA one, and that's 16 years. So
yeah,
we'll have to go there.
Right, and I think that there's no question that just in terms of where Harvey was at one time, he's finished.
He still has tentacles
and
power, in that he has, like what Jeffrey Epstein did, which was blackmail on people.
Yep. So
has, from what I hear, blackmail people, has footage of, like he could, this is just hearsay. So
yes. Totally.
But, from very
the tip of the iceberg.
It's just the tip of the iceberg. But, going like the Cannes Film Festival, or going to Sundance, and there'd be like a director selling his movie, and then he gets a little present, and that present is someone knocking at the door, and that's filmed. So I've been told this, but I can't prove it.
Yeah.
So this is hearsay. I'm saying this,
Yep.
But then you say, you hire that C word.
Yep.
And your wife's going to see this footage.
And
that apparently happened often.
Oh, man. What a world. What a world. And it's not just the movie world.
But we don't know, but can you prove that? No, but there's other people involved, and it is a network.
Yeah.
It's a network. I mean, there's no accident that, Harvey Weinstein knew Jeffrey Epstein, introduced Melania Trump, like it's all connected and yucky,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right?
All right. Yeah. One other question I have for you for I don't want to call it extracurricular work, but work that you have done that has nothing to do with acting. You were involved with a show called Coercion?
Yep.
On Showtime? And that's what?
It's really sad. It didn't end up, it was such a, talk about sabotage. It was a show about, I was going to do a documentary on this woman. These people asked me to come in and meet this woman, and she had been trafficked off a college campus and gone to Vegas for 8 years, and then got out of the life and became a Christian preacher and works with the FBI and Homeland Security to get women out. Rebecca Bender.
An advocate. You're right.
We had it for 9. I worked with I saw that the people were like, they were going to rip her off. And it really bothered me. I said, I don't want to work with these people. And I think you need to own your rights of your story. Do not, go to a lawyer, do that. And she came to me, she goes, will you do this with me? And so it took us 9 years. I brought it to Gail Lyon. We got Susanna Grant, wrote it and directed. And it was like a major thing. And then I guess probably with everything that's happened with Showtime in the 11th hour, we shot a pilot. The 11th hour didn't get picked up.
Didn't get picked up. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was really like, really? Because, I mean, Amy Israel was like in tears. It was very weird. And we didn't really understand it. But then I think a lot of people left Showtime, and it was when it was, there was, right. It was like business. It was like some kind of business, right?
Yeah. This is
$12 and cents. They don't give a shit about the art anymore.
Right. Well, because they're mostly interested in making movies for young men, action movies. It's the Roger Ebert quote from your movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only guy you interviewed who
That's
said,
right.
No, this is why this is happening.
Yeah.
I just had a question out of the blue that occurred to me as I was driving here, considering how interesting and peripatetic and both volatile and at the same time interesting and your life. Have you ever considered writing a memoir?
Everybody, so many people have asked me, and as I just went through piles of journals through the years.
Yep.
Last night, I didn't really sleep. It was like, I couldn't, like, was like, whoa, my life is so crazy. I mean, especially the loves, the loves of my life.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I think I'm not good in that area, maybe.
I've had a few marriages as well.
And it made me really sad. And then I thought, I'm going to have a big bonfire. Then my daughter says, absolutely not. You need to save them. I don't know if I want to save a lot of them. I'm waiting. My sister apparently is coming out with the book. So I just wait for her to do her
right.
thing. And
well, but it takes time, believe me, because I started one and I'm still working on it years ago. Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm still working on it. So don't be dissuaded.
Have you read Griffin Dunn's book?
No,
have you read?
I haven't.
It's so good.
I saw him recently and he was telling me about it. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. And that's like, he really went there and it's beautiful. I love it. All
right. You've talked me into it, into going into it. I'm in another book now, but I'm trying to get out of it because it's an extraordinary book, but also rather depressing. So I'm looking for something.
It's dealing with.
Oh, I'm sure. And his family.
It's dealing with the murder of his sister, but his sense of humor. I have two people that make me really laugh to like pee my pants, and that's my daughter and Griffin.
Okay. All right. The conclusion of the Cooking by Heart episode always includes a final question. And the final question is this. If you're in a situation or have been in a situation where a taste or a smell or an experience that you're having brings you back to a culinary moment, a food moment, when you were younger. I won't take you back to when you were young necessarily, but at some point when you were younger, where this memory is so vivid because of a smell or a taste. What would that be?
I think it's my Thanksgiving that I create. The smell of that stuffing that I really do make a great stuffing that I made up. Yeah.
Well, what is your stuffing?
Okay. So I take green apples, onions, garlic, celery, sage, cook it in ghee butter. Mm-hmm. And then add dried apricots and cranberries. A lot of sage. So it's like savory and sweet.
Yep.
I like to do the sourdough bread, my own sourdough bread, let it, get hard, stale, do that for the week. And so it's sourdough stuffing. And you pour in, I used to do like a cream of mushroom soup. Like I like to do like a cream of mushroom soup to make it,
Yeah.
And then I started doing shiitake mushrooms in there. I did that and that was good. Mm-hmm. But it's so delicious. I'm telling you, it's really the best stuffing. I mean, my daughter is already having two friends that come from England can they come for Thanksgiving? So she's excited to be here.
Oh yeah. I always ask my guests for a recipe because we post every guest. I post a recipe from all of our guests. Will you give me your stuffing recipe for your?
But I don't
recipe?
really have one. It's just what I just said.
Well, then we'll
just write it out. Can you just because I literally don't have how many cups. It's just.
That's fine.
You just feel it out.
Yeah.
It depends on people. If you're going to make a big pot.
Yeah.
And I put everything in there and literally
saute
I love to do the hands and mix it up like that.
Yeah. We'll talk about it. All right. Rosanna Arquette, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, nice.
On Cooking by Heart.
Thank you so much.